All right, shifting our focus to the global stage now. The big news today, US President Donald Trump wrapped up his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in the South Korean city of Busan. Now, after his meeting, the US President sounded upbeat about progress made during less than 2 hours of talks. On board Air Force One, Trump discussed the outcome of the meeting, which he described as a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. And these are Trump's words. He said that there was an outstanding group of decisions made and asserted that we have come to a conclusion on many important points. Trump has said that tariffs on China will be reduced to 47% from the current 57%, adding that both the leaders have agreed on almost everything. Trump said that the US can sign a trade deal with China pretty soon. Meanwhile, the Chinese leader has also said that both sides reached a consensus to resolve major trade issues. She said that that Chinese and US teams will be working on delivering outcomes that will serve as a reassuring pill for both the countries and the economies. Well, let's now tell you more about the key takeaways of this meeting between Trump and Xi. But before that, take a listen to what Trump said.
We had a long meeting, as you know, but a lot of things we discussed in great detail. A lot of things we brought to finalization. A lot of finalization. I thought it was a great meeting. I think it was a very friendly meeting. It was a good meeting for two very large, powerful countries. I think we've discussed mostly what we said, pretty comprehensive. We're going to issue a statement on some of the details. But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. I thought it was an amazing meeting. He's a great leader of a very powerful, very strong country, China. And I mean, what can I say? We have, it was an outstanding group of decisions, I think, that was made. A lot of decisions were made, too. There wasn't too much left out there.
All right. Earlier, during the high-level meeting, both the leaders hailed each other while highlighting the rocky US-China ties. Take a listen.
President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we'll have a great understanding. We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
Over the years, I have stated in public many times that China and the United States should be partners and friends. This is what history has taught us and what reality demands. A few days ago, in the latest round of consultation, our two economic and trade teams reached basic consensus on addressing our respective major concerns and made encouraging progress. This provided the necessary conditions for our meeting today. Mr. President, I am ready to continue working with you to build a solid foundation for China-US relations and create a sound atmosphere for the development of both countries.
All right, from tariffs to rare earths, in Trump words, both the leaders have made outstanding group of decisions at Crunch. Let's now give you a lowdown of the big takeaways. Number one, overall, of course, the first is the overall tariff cuts. Trump has decided to cut overall tariffs on Chinese goods imported from the US from 57% to 47%. So that's the first takeaway, the overall tariff cuts. Moving on, the second big pointer is rare earths is settled. Both the parties reached a breakthrough on rare earth deal, which was a major point of contention between them. Trump said that they reached a 1-year extendable agreement on China's supply of crucial rare earths and that there's no roadblock at all on rare earths. Thirdly, US has slashed fentanyl tariffs on China. In a major takeaway from the meeting, Trump has agreed to cut fentanyl tariffs on China from 20% to 10% effective immediately. Then Trump has also announced his China visit. He said that he will be visiting China soon. That's after the meeting. The US president told reporters on Air Force One that he will be visiting China next year in April and that the Chinese President Xi Jinping will come to the US after that. Another issue that featured was, of course, discussions on Ukraine as the war is still raging on. Both the leaders discussed the situation in Ukraine during their meeting, and Trump said that both the leaders are going to work together to resolve this very issue. However, a slew of issues were discussed, but there was no feature, no talk about Taiwan. Both the leaders did not discuss this very sensitive issue, and Trump said that Taiwan never came up. So these were the big takeaways from the high-stakes Trump-Xi meet. And to decode this further, my colleague Aditya is now joining me live. Aditya, your thoughts and observations on this high-stakes Trump-Xi meet, with Trump clearly rating it a 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. What stood out for you?
Well, we'd never know. Trump can really go back on his words in 24 hours. But having said that, Raisha, I think it's a significant development, knowing that in the last 6 to 8 months, there have been a lot of disruptions with the kind of tariffs that have been slapped by Donald Trump administration all across the world, and 57% tariffs on China that have been now reduced to 47%. And I think the critical point really was when just a few days ago, China put export controls on the rare earths because, China has a monopoly on the rare earths, really. 70% of the production globally and 90% of the processing of the rare earths that happens through China. So from the US standpoint, and from the US industry standpoint, rare earths are very, very critical. But there have been some substantial, achievements when it comes to dialogue, some critical consensus that has been developed in the form of the rare earth deal. And of course, the soybean as well, that will be purchased by China effective immediately. And there could be some significant announcement in the days ahead as well as the negotiations continue. But we also heard about the bonhomie between these leaders. The introductory remarks were reflective of the fact of how both leaders appreciated each other. And there is some kind of a bonhomie that has been seen. They also announced that next year Trump would be visiting China, and thereafter Xi Jinping will be visiting Washington, D.C. as well. And these negotiations are taking place at a time when India and US have also been discussing their own trade deal. So whatever happens between US and China perhaps could have some kind of an impact, some kind of consensus or differences on the India-US trade deal as well. November is the deadline, and we are hopeful that there could be first tranche of the agreement between New Delhi and DC as well. But Trump really making sure that the trade deal really goes through. So the first tranche of the trade deal has been announced, some significant developments in that regard. And as I said, the next days would be also very crucial to see again if both these world powers really come on the same page, because there are several irritants. Taiwan was one of the irritants that was not discussed, of course. Quad has been one of the irritants from the Beijing point of view. We do not see Quad happening anytime soon. There isn't any consensus. As of now, Trump was supposed to visit New Delhi. That certainly is not going to happen immediately. But certainly, Xi and Trump coming on the same page, a big stabilization exercise when it comes to global economic progress in between US and China.
Absolutely, Aditya. We don't have to see the impact of the bonhomie between US and China on India, but thanks very much for getting us the latest. All right, let's now tell you more about what Trump-Xi meet means. Now, of course, this was the top-level dialogue after long freeze. This was, of course, the first meet in Trump's second term. Now, and also a potential reset in US-China ties. The key focus of this meeting this time around, the first in 6 years, was trade, Taiwan, tech, and other kind of tensions. Of course, the issue of Taiwan did not come on the stage there. Trump also claimed good chemistry with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump hopes to reopen channels with Beijing. Now, let's also tell you how China views this meeting. China sees opportunity to counter Biden line and also strong signal to global markets and allies. So this is what it means of the high-stakes Trump-Xi meet.